Let's get started. Where should we begin? All right. So actually, we're sitting we're sitting in this beautiful space, and appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, great.
And this space, wasn't here a few years ago, and you were kind of new to the area about 10 years ago. So I wanted to hone in on what it was like, and walk us through how you got to this point where you've got this amazing space. We've got all these innovators watching. We've got people watching from all over the world, and I want to just get your sense of how this all happened.
It just happened. I mean, if you had told me 12 years ago when I was living up in Boston, had, a hedge fund, equity hedge fund, if you had told me I'd be living in Tampa, my family would have moved here. I'd own a hockey team. We won 2 Stanley Cups. I'm working on a real estate development, $4 billion with Bill Gates, sitting inside, lying inside a innovation hub. I sometimes feel like I'm in a river, and there are rocks, and it's just kind of going. And yeah, it just happened.
It's interesting. I actually wanted to follow up on that. So, do you follow the river then? You don't have like a plan with a PowerPoint presentation trying to figure this out. Like you just kind of take where life takes you, or how do you approach things?
Yes, my wife's watching, so I got to be careful about that. But,
hello, Penny. Is it Penny?
Penny.
Oh,
Good.
nice. Hello, Penny.
Hi, hon. I mean, I'm exaggerating when I say that. I mean, why did I move to Tampa Bay? Why did we move to Tampa Bay? Why did I buy the hockey team? I was turning 50 years old and was looking to reinvent myself, and loved the sport of hockey, loved sports, loved the business of sports, and did a lot of research and ended up buying the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, a lot of real estate was available around the arena. And it's like, oh, it's across the street. I guess we should buy this parcel. And this parcel was during the recession, 12 years ago, the Great Recession. And then, the next thing you know, we own 50, 60 acres of real estate. We're doing a big development. And then we look around the area. It's like, well, where do I think we can, have a high profile owning a team? Where can I make a difference? Where can I kind of use my megaphone? And the 2 things that I decided to, because the hockey team and the real estate had great CEOs, which is my theme on everything, as you know, Frank, hire great people and get out of the way, let them do their jobs. But, like, where can I hopefully make a difference? In the 2 areas that I've focused on the last 5 years: transportation, public transportation, trying to improve that, and innovation. And, this hub here, led by some great people, Lakshmi Shenoy, as everybody knows, she's been tremendous. And we're moving the needle, and it's exciting. So I've answered all your questions.
Well, that makes it easy. I think we're done here. No, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. So that makes a lot of sense. I think what's interesting to me is you changed careers totally. Like you were doing amazing work. You read your profile out there. You have a whole Wikipedia about yourself. Your page. It basically tells you were returning people's money as a hedge fund. Asset manager for was it like 50%? Like they were getting some crazy returns. And then you look at like what you do with the hockey team. You bought it, I think, for $170 million. It's definitely worth more than that now. They've won back-to-back champions. So that return on that is probably significant as well. So I guess what I'm saying is, what are you doing that makes this kind of everything you touch turn kind of into that, double your money kind of returns and things?
Well, you don't know the ones that I lost money on.
Okay, well, let's talk about those. You may want to lay down again. Let's talk about those.
This is early stage. Every early stage company I've invested in, I've made money on.
Okay.
No, I have plenty of losers out there. Plenty of things go wrong.
Right.
I've had challenging periods in the market. Fortunately, never any big down years.
Okay.
Been able to avoid that. But and the hockey team, it's all about fun and enjoyment and trying to make a difference in the Tampa Bay community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm winning, of course. But that was never thought about being an investment.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you look at what I do day in and day out, I try to help out with this a little bit, and I'm involved with the team a little bit. What I still do is kind of invest in the stock market. That's what I find the most fun.
So you find joy in that? Okay. So,
but I don't run anybody else's money. I just run
your own,
our family's money and our family.
Oh, okay, great. So you're not totally out of the game totally. You're still just doing it for fun. That's good.
I guess the river wants me to keep doing that. And
the river seems amazing. I got to find this river.
Sometimes you go off on offshoots in the river. Here's the story. So I started my hedge fund. I was at Fidelity from 1986 to 96.
Yep.
Started my hedge fund in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good run to 2000. gave back all our investors' money in 2000.
That's what I read. That's
2004, we went back
amazing.
in business.
Yep.
Right? Because it was like, you have this pendulum, work and family, went too much to family. I'm already coaching all their teams and all. We got to get that back in the middle. It's the challenge of work.
Mhm.
So went back into business in 2004, kind of shut down 2012, 13, a couple of years after coming down here, and just was too much to do.
Right.
And for some, I'm talking about things that fail. For some crazy reason, I decided in 2018 I should start up my hedge fund again and do it again.
Oh, wow.
And what I was thinking, I have no idea. And I shut that down six
Quickly.
months later because who has time? I didn't have time.
You were doing a lot of things.
So I do a lot of things that don't work out. That's my point.
No, definitely. So that's interesting. So I think that, the ability to be able to see when that's not going to work out and you don't want to do that is critical as well. But let's talk about, you talked about people.
Sell your losers quickly.
Sell your losers quickly. I hear that. All right. So let's talk about the people, right? You have a process, I think. I don't know this for sure. I'm asking you this. Do you have a process for finding good people? Because it seems like you want to put instill a lot of trust in people and whatnot. And so how do you do that as a startup founder, as a business owner, as a hedge fund manager, as a person? How do you find good people and trust them?
I'd say hard work would be the common denominator, which means, depending on how senior the position is, spending a lot of time with that person under different conditions. I always like to, somebody senior, I always like to make sure in the initial stages we go to a restaurant, want to see how they treat the waiter and maitre d' and all of that. I mean, I have if you're not nice to the waiter, kind of have a zero tolerance policy, and that's when they're on their best behavior, right?
Right.
So a lot of work, checking a lot of references, just trying to get to know somebody. Usually they have to check before I meet with somebody. They have to check a number of boxes, like they've had success where they've been,
right.
where, they're smart, they have good values, they have high integrity. That's kind of required, but beyond that, it's just seeing how well we click. Do we have the same values? Do we have the same plan? When I hired Steve Yzerman to be general manager of the Lightning, when I started, he was very clear to me, and I agreed. We're not winning overnight here. It's going to take a number of years to do things the right way, to draft players, to be patient with them in the minor leagues, to develop them. That takes years. I mean, Andre Vasilevsky, most people think he's the best goalie in the world. We drafted him, I think it was 2012.
Right.
He just started hitting his prime in the last year or two. That's 9 years.
Right.
He was 18 at the time. Now he's in his late 20s. Now he's in his prime. So, it's just funny. General managers in hockey.
Instant success, right?
General manager, well, it's true with anything. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
General managers in hockey probably have an average career length of 5 years. That doesn't even give time for their initial selections to even see whether they're good. It takes years to know whether somebody's going to develop. Rating them far too quickly. But anyway, Steve Yzerman and I were on the same page in terms of, the values of the organization, the integrity, long-term nature of creating a winner. And Steve has moved on, but Julian Brisebois, who worked for Steve, who's now our GM, has continued with the same philosophies.
And it sounds like there's a bit of directness there too, right? Like he was able to tell you, like, this is not, this is going to take some time, and you took that. So do you look for that like directness in people, where they're just like, tell me how it is, or
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a substantial conversation.
Right. Yeah.
We're all busy, and there's no time for BSers, frankly.
Right.
You can be direct, but you can still be nice. You don't have to yell at somebody.
Right.
To answer a question. It's the same thing with Steve and other people. Let's talk about Lakshmi here, who's running this. So the process by which this came about, I'm sure it's on your list. So it was, I don't know, about 5 years ago. And at that time, I determined that wanted to see if we could, just give a little jump start or a little extra acceleration to the startup community here. Doing well, but I knew I thought I might be able to help it do a little bit better. My partner Jim O'Connell and I, my family office president, he and I spent 2 years just talking to people, traveling the country, reading books, reading on the internet.
I heard you're an avid reader. Like,
I am. I read like 8 or 10 hours a day.
Wow,
that's what I do, and I love learning new things. And to me, that was completely new. Real estate, I didn't know anything about commercial real estate. I knew enough, as they say, to be dangerous.
Right.
But I also know you got to hire experts, because I'm not going to be an expert. I'm not going to be a CEO of Embarc Collective. So we did a ton of research. Ironically, the first person we visited was Lakshmi at 1871 in Chicago. And who knew a year and a half later, be calling her up and say, Lakshmi, trying to set up something like 1871. Do you have any interest in coming down to Tampa to do it? We live in a great place here. That's I mean, this is a wonderful place to live with incredible opportunity, which now people are starting to realize. And, you know, the number of tech companies that have moved here in the last year, and, you know, it doesn't hurt probably having Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl.
Gets a little more attention.
But it's an incredible place to live. If you look at the population, by the way, the middle of the state, it is growing 2 to 3%. Miami population is actually shrinking. Now, Miami is a great place too, but it's crowded. We're sitting in the fastest growing area of the country, here to Orlando, over the next 20 years. There is no doubt about it. This is where the opportunity is. So anyway, that was my pitch to Lakshmi, and it's still my pitch now. And now it's actually happening. Then it was.
I heard some crazy stat, and I've validated these, but I heard it was like 500 people a day at some point were moving here from other places. Is that true? 5
million people a day are moving, something like that.
No, to here. Okay.
No, more people moved to Florida in the last year than Texas, even, and by a lot. And it was all in the middle of the state, though, because the southern part of the state, as I said, Miami actually lost people. So, I mean, I was a huge driver when I bought the hockey team, and when we did the real estate. Having population increase 2% a year, it's incredible.
It's crazy, and it's impacted real estate, right? So you are a real estate investor too. And you've got SPP as your company, and you've done, like as you mentioned earlier, working with Cascade, which is Bill Gates' company. And you've built some things for that influx, right, of people, right? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, as I said, we were able to buy about 50 acres of land downtown, next to the arena, surrounded by water. I mean, on all sides.
Right on the water.
I mean, that this was available in a major city in the U.S. For like 40, 50 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
And we didn't know what we were going to do with it. And it's like, well, because originally I said, worst case is it goes up in value over time. Best case, we figure it out. So again, a lot of reading, ton of meetings, ton of conversations, just to educate myself about commercial real estate, about urban real estate, about walkable cities. Jeff Speck, he was the key in terms of understanding the structure of how we wanted this, Water Street, Tampa to look. And as everybody can see now, our first phase, which is $2 billion, is basically all built. Just starting to get restaurants, retail, supply chain challenges are killing us, supply chain. They're all moving in over this year, and it's incredible. Now we're about to start phase 2, which is probably just about the same size as phase 1.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, didn't know what we were going to do with it, and ended up Todd Leiweke, who is the CEO of the Lightning, who best manager in sports. He introduced me to Michael Larson, who runs the Bill Gates' money, basically.
Cascade, right?
Cascade Investment. And we hit it off great. And they've been a partner here, and it's been a terrific relationship. Think the world of them, how much they've contributed to this. And
I heard it's like their biggest real estate investment. Is that true?
It is their biggest real estate investment. They're going to be doing more of this as they go along. But, it was quite the endorsement that Michael saw the potential in Tampa Bay that I saw and others saw. So it's very exciting.
Very exciting. So have you, through that relationship, have you worked with Bill directly, or is it more through Michael?
No, Bill knows what's going. In fact, they're having their annual meeting down here next.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is nice. So
if you stick around, you might see Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Is it here physically? No, it's somewhere else. It's not in Embarc, right?
We'll come over to Embarc.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Bill Gates is coming. Get ready. Okay, ready. Have him come today. That'd be great.
Anyway, I've met Bill a couple of times, but we don't play tennis together.
Okay.
Or bridge.
Yeah. He plays bridge. I didn't know that. All right, so
I think so. Doesn't he play with Warren Buffett in that group?
Probably, yeah, probably. All right, so moving along. I think it's really just interesting. Like, I love talking to people that have had success and have kind of decided to do something different and change and continue to then have success, because it's an approach and a daily approach, right? So I just want to dig in a little more about that. Like, what is your daily approach? Like, how do you do this like every single day? Like, what are some things that people could take about your, like, what you do and how you do it? I think that's interesting, because you've been able to just keep going and march along, and you make it sound really trivial, but what you're doing is
I mean, it's hire good people. I mean, I'm sorry, it's
okay.
I mean, on the investment business,
Yeah.
I hire myself because I think I'm decent at doing that.
Yeah.
But
Well, let's dig into that then. How did you get into that? How did you get into investing?
my father was involved in a different aspect of the stock market.
Okay.
But he never shared it at home. So it wasn't until I graduated college that I realized I had the interest.
Mhm.
And this was 1981 when I graduated. Terrible recession at that
Mhm.
time. I couldn't get a job. And I eventually, 3 months after graduating, kids, nobody got credit cards back then. It was
Right.
completely
Didn't
different.
exist really. Yeah.
That was the peak of inflation
Mhm.
before it's come down, before it's gone up. I love the markets. Anyway, how did I get into it?
Yeah.
So I got into it. That's the job I got,
Yeah.
and I loved it as a security analyst. I loved it, and went back to business school. Got hired by Fidelity, and
Started doing
just love
well.
it. Well, yeah, I'm lucky. How fortunate that something I love to do, I seem to be okay at, and it pays well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of luck. Because as I tell my kids, be the best teacher, be the best social worker, whatever you
Mhm.
want to do. Just be really good at it and passionate about it.
Now, are any of your kids interested in what you're doing? Like, do any of them like?
No,
I
they're
don't-
kids. They don't have any.
Oh, how old are your kids? You got
No, they're old.
Okay, okay, so not little
Three of them
kids.
are about 30, and one of them's
Okay.
21 on
Okay.
Saturday. So we're going to New
Oh,
Orleans.
there you go.
I guess we should go to Gasparilla, but it's gonna be like 30 degrees here or something.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of pirates around too, so
Yeah,
be careful.
What's the question?
Oh yeah,
my
so
kids in
yeah,
any of
are they
this?
interested in what you're doing? Like, could any of them like jump in and all of a sudden I'm seeing a remake of like Succession?
No, I
or
don't think so.
something like that? No,
my,
okay.
my oldest son is a lawyer in DC.
Oh, okay.
Likes politics and policy.
Mhm.
My second oldest is a clothing designer. Flonlabs.com. Flonlabs.com.
Oh, okay. So she's got
Okay,
her own line.
It's
Oh,
amazing stuff that he
okay.
comes out with.
Okay.
He
And it's
got
for
the
what kind
creativity
of
from my
stuff is
wife.
it for? Or what is there any
It's like streetwear, urban wear,
Oh,
that kind of
okay,
thing.
cool.
It's amazing what he produced. Flon Labs. Oh, anyway.
Fun Labs. Everyone get that. Fun Labs.
FLANLABS.com.
Okay.
But his website isn't that good anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we
Well,
spent enough
I think
time
there's some
on
people
him.
here that could help with that, so they're watching along. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So then I have we're talking kids, right? Then
Yeah,
I got a daughter who's about to go back to get her master's degree up in Boston,
Oh, cool.
and then my youngest down here is into theater and being a stage manager, stuff like that. So in that group, I don't find anybody who's actually going to be working with me for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so they're not as interested. Okay, well, let's talk about you are also very active in philanthropy, right? So you give back a lot, and you are helping really focus on the community here. So let's talk about some of the things you're doing in the community, organizations and resources you've created for the community. I just think it's interesting because you've come to this point, and now you're just giving back nonstop.
Well, first of all, this is a nonprofit, so this counts.
Yeah.
I'll say it. If you're fortunate to have made a lot of money,
Mhm.
it's kind of easy to give back because you still have a lot of money after you give
Right.
back. So I think
Mhm.
rich people who don't give back, okay, shame on them. But rich
Right.
people who do give back, that's what they should do. And as I said, I've been very fortunate, been very lucky.
Hmm.
A lot of things have gone the right way, and my wife would agree with that completely. Both of our parents, instilled philanthropy and giving back, and it's a great thing to do to be able to help organizations that we think are really helping people.
Right.
And being an owner of a sports team allows us to do that.
Do that a lot, yeah. We're going to talk to Derek Brooks tomorrow about some of the stuff he's doing in the community. So let's talk about, so you've invested now in Wall Street, you continue to do that. You invested in real estate, and you continue to do that.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of community support as well. And so now let's talk about startups. I know you've invested in startups. I don't know too much about what you've invested in or how you do that. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that and your approach and what you've learned through that process.
I've learned so much about investing in startups the hard way. And that doesn't mean, no, I've had a mixed record. I haven't had a negative record, but it's kind of been a mixed record, which is par for the course. Maybe it's a birdie for the course. So some of the things like equity markets, I know how to do that. And buyouts, LBOs, and private equity, That's the same business as investing in the public equity. What I didn't realize when I started is venture is not that business. Here's the biggest lesson I learned in the beginning. In the public markets, most stocks go up over time, big cap stocks, because they're established companies that have already gone through the rigors and are successful. So most large companies do well over time, go up. In the venture world, it's the opposite. It's so hard to succeed in venture.
Right.
Great idea, great people, and a little luck. Probably takes all of that, among other things. Unfortunately, most venture, 80 or 90% fail is the sad,
reality.
fact
Yeah.
of the matter.
Right.
I don't think I have
No one here. Nobody. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
Well, Embarc, we have a zero tolerance failure. So,
Yep, right.
in fact, I think when you pay rent, it comes with the guarantee. We could raise the price a lot if we could provide that guarantee.
Yep.
So it took me a while not to realize that everything sounded great because I'm an optimist. I've learned in life that things work out, like global warming, climate change. I have this fight with my kids.
Mhm.
It's a serious issue.
I'd say.
Figure it out.
Yep.
We're going to figure it out. We're figuring it out too late.
Mhm.
And I get all the concerns, and we should be doing a lot more as a global community. But just like insurmountable problems previously, we'll figure it out. There was going to be a shortage of oil in 1980.
Right.
You know what? Here we are 40 years later.
Yep.
Enough oil. Price is much lower in inflation-adjusted terms. So we'll figure that out.
Mhm.
Why did I go off on that tangent? I don't know, but let's go back to venture.
Startups. Yeah, I mean, just startups. Your approach. Maybe
I
there
have
were some
absolutely
things.
no idea.
Maybe that's okay. There were some probably nuggets in there, maybe about startups you've invested in, or things that you've done to kind of.
Oh, you give me too much credit.
I don't know. So I'd love to learn more about what your thoughts are.
So I've gotten better with venture over time.
Yeah.
I've gotten more discerning, more diligence, understanding.
What
quality
excites you?
people.
What excites you on the startup side? Is there certain types of things you're just like, oh man, I love that.
That's a good question. Excites me to see high quality leader, passion,
Mhm.
working whatever it takes, working around the clock. As you know, it's tough.
Yeah.
I hats off to every startup
Mhm.
leader and employee out there. What you guys do is so critical to our society. Here's a statistic.
Mhm.
I'm going to be off by 5 or 10%, but 60%. I just read this a week ago. 60% of I don't have exactly right. 60% of like venture of people working in venture in the world are
Mhm.
working in the U.S.
Wow.
and only 20% are Americans, or 25%. Like
Yeah.
Chinese are all working in the U.S.
Right.
That's why one should be bullish on the U.S. because we've cornered the market in general. I mean, there are other.
Yeah.
Israel does well, and other areas do well, certainly. But we're the center of it, and that is so positive for what's going on.
Yeah, other places
the next
approach
20,
it
30
differently,
years.
right? Like UK is a lot of private equity. It's not as much straight venture. There's a lot of different approaches, I guess.
But intellectual talent,
Yeah.
that's here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you ask another question. I completely.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
answered that one.
I'm having a great time here, so hopefully you are too.
Yeah, I like this.
Okay, great. So you've done a lot with your career, and I hate, I don't want to say like hone this in on legacy necessarily, because like you're just,
I don't like that word.
I don't like that word either. So really, what I'm trying to get to is what drives you every day? Like what drives you to do what you're doing? You've done so much in Tampa and in general here. Just want to know what is it that's driving you? Do what you
People
do.
who say thank you, Mr. Vinik, for what you're doing for our city.
There you go.
I hear it, and thanks. And they often say, "I know you hear this a lot, but," and I said, "Oh, I never hear it too much." That's really the answer. Is
That's your fuel.
you know what? It's fuel, but it's kind of fun to try to make a difference in a place. And
Yep.
I guess I just read a book about the importance of meaning in life,
Mhm.
and I guess
It's appreciation.
well, it's not just. I appreciate myself, so.
But others, like showing the impact, like making an impact. And
I mean, I'm proud of a lot of the things I've done, and again, I'm proud of Cascade and everybody,
Right.
Lakshmi and everybody else that's working here. They're the ones who have executed all this. I just kind of set a few things in motion. But it's what's the word? Not satisfactory. What's the word where I can't believe I'll think of it.
Okay, I call
know
it
what I'll
COVID
do?
brain. I can't think of anything anymore.
You know what? Give me a phone number. I will call
Okay.
it in when I
Okay.
think of the word
Perfect.
later today.
Let's do that.
You can tell everybody what
All right,
the
I will
word
tell you
is.
my phone number.
Does anybody know what the word is? It's satisfying.
Satisfying. I was gonna say satisfaction. It's a whole set. I can't get
That
no
wouldn't work.
satisfaction. You know that one? Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's a good
yeah,
song.
I get, yeah.
Okay, so we got that.
I
All
get
right,
satisfaction.
you get satisfaction. I can't get no. Okay. You know the song I'm talking about, right? Okay. It was a popular. I'm
Is
pretty
that
sure.
Rolling Stones?
I think it was. Yeah, it was Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Popular song. They do it better than I do. So next, we're almost at time here, and I appreciate you taking it. I really do, and I thank you for being here because I know you're busy, super busy, doing 1,000 things as you just explained. What excites you about the next 5 to 10 years?
I tell a funny story.
I love funny. I love funny stories. Yes.
So I'm looking at my leg here. So this
I
is
can't even
going-
put mine up. This chair is weird. I can't even put my leg up. It's a.
you know, I usually can't either, but it's not the chair. I just have to tell this story. It's a
Okay,
funny
go for
story.
it. Yeah.
So this is like 40 years ago.
Mhm.
I was interviewing for a job with Goldman Sachs, right? And you know, they were at that time the top of the top.
Mhm.
I was so nervous about the job. I was perspiring. And I sat like this for a half hour during an interview.
Yep. Oh, not good.
Yep, the interview's over and it didn't go well.
Oh no.
Probably didn't matter.
Yep.
I stand up, my leg had fallen asleep. Boom, I fall down.
Oh no. Okay, move
I'm starting
slowly.
to feel a little numb here.
Okay,
so
put
I'm
your leg
just-
down. We're gonna try to air it. Yeah, there you go. Move, shake it out a little bit. That's hilarious.
that
Hopefully
was
you're
such a
okay.
funny story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's pretty. So don't sit like that. So it's probably good I'm not. So just to end, I wanted to find out your. You know, we're gonna put the future cap on, right? Like, where do you see this in 5 to 10 years? What's your ultimate goal? And
yeah, we're in the.
this is early innings still, right? I'd say.
This is the early innings, but you know, we're ahead 8-0 after 3 innings.
Mhm.
Or
I'm a Cubs fan, so that that could go either way.
you had your moment.
Yeah. Mhm.
Versus the Lightning, we're having a lot of.
A lot of moments. Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's now happening.
Yeah.
Going back to my premise, it's an unbelievable place to live, this Tampa Bay area,
Mhm.
but hadn't been discovered. And that's what I was thinking about it 12 years ago. It is now discovered.
Yeah.
So it's just going to roll on itself. And, you know, we get more companies here, we get more capital here, we get more investors here, we get more customers here.
Mhm.
Whole thing is now a virtuous circle, a flywheel. That's one of the words you guys use.
Yep.
A flywheel, really going in the right direction, and we've just got to keep the culture right of hunger
Mhm.
and creativity. We just got to keep that culture right and keep driving this area. And I don't mean Embarc. I mean the Tampa Bay Wave and USF and they're all kinds of different institutions, SOEs around here. We all need to work together to just keep the momentum going.
Absolutely. And there's been such amazing support, and I appreciate you
It
for
has.
being here and everyone that's doing everything they're doing here to make us very welcome. So thank you. And thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much
Pleasure.
for your time. Really appreciate it. We're satisfied with what you're doing. And hopefully you're satisfied that we're satisfied, and we're all satisfied.
I'm
We're getting
very satisfied that you're all here because, you know, don't leave because now you got to come back because you got to come back for our 50 days in a row of 75 degrees and
Yeah, right after we leave. Hopefully not. Hopefully it comes out tomorrow. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Jeff. Let's hear it for Jeff Vinik.